So please welcome with me Joe Aucoin.
Can you all hear me? I think I'm going to use the microphone, the local one here. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for letting me be here. I want to talk, and hopefully my epidermis doesn't get in the way. Is that the right? Take this extra mic. Oh, okay. Just make sure we don't have. Okay. I'm going to talk about this title called Rapid Technological Advances in the Context of Local Land Use Change Permit. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to tell you a story from about 2005 to currently where we're at today, and how going from a vertical well program through the whole horizontal program, how the infrastructure and the facilities on the surface had to change, and we wanted to change, and how we worked with the county on how to make the evolution of these facilities change even for the better purpose. Where's the? So Tom Parko from Weld County asked me to give a presentation on what he considers the oil hub. So I'm going to talk about oil systems as well as a little bit of produced water systems. We've got a facility called an oil polishing facility, and I don't know, does anybody know what polishing oil is? It's not where you and kind of rub it like that. It's basically you knock some water out of the oil so it meets pipeline spec. Second topic I'll talk about is central oil stabilization facility. And that's a site that's currently under construction right now, and it's also one of those big facilities that's helping us be better neighbors, better producers, so our tank batteries become smaller, more efficient, no VRUs, and a lot less emissions. Great story there. And I'll talk about our produced water system. We've got an existing facility as well as a new one, and some of the new technology we're bringing into each one of those three. So here's why did Anadarko need a White Cliffs pipeline and an oil polishing facility? Back in 2005 to 7, we had a bunch of wells that were shut in because the local refinery wanted to have control of trucking this oil, and all they did was come up with excuses on why they couldn't haul that oil. Cost us a lot of money, cost us a lot of shut-in production. So us and our counterpart Noble came up with the idea, which, hey, we need a better way to get our oil to the market. So that's where we went to out to bid, and the White Cliffs pipeline was the idea of it was born back in 2007. So what the oil polishing facility does, it supports what the trucks, when they offload, about 10% of it doesn't meet the spec that has to go into the pipeline. So we divert it and bring it back to polish it. Basically, the bad actor there just being a little bit of water, especially in the wintertime when it was cold. And we're talking about trucking oil right now, but remember this is back in 2007-8 time frame, and since then we've eliminated a lot of trucks. I'll get to that later. So kind of the pipeline spec is no more than 1% BS&W, which no more than can be 0.3. That's kind of tight, but you know, when you got some paraffin in there and you've got cold weather, you just can't get that water out of it. So began the construction in July of 2008, got online in 2009, and the facility itself has been working fine. We wanted to do a retrofit to it because we wanted to bring some emulsion in from our flowback operation. So, you know, when you frack a well, you get that water that's coming back, and that's what we call the flowback process. And inside there's a little bit of oil and emulsion. And previously, we were taking that and bringing it to a water disposal facility, and they were charging us to take it as well as then skimming the oil and making money from that. So we decided to retrofit one of our sites. Kind of a complicated flow diagram here. The trucks show up, they offload, about 10% is out of spec. We process it and then we pump it back into it. And currently, right now, our oil is being pumped to Cushing, Oklahoma through 2 pipelines. We also have a railroad spur. I did show up here too. And then as the horizontal program came on, we knew we had to have a better takeaway, a better way to get our oil to market, and that was through an oil gathering system. So currently we have over 150 miles of anywhere from 8-inch to 12-inch trunk lines that gather our oil, and that's been a great story as well. I'll get to that in a little bit later. Noble has a sister site just like ours, and it's called an oil polishing facility as well. Just a couple of photos here. Here's some water tanks, and with that, it's fiberglass. So a lot of this is not technology. It's good use of what materials are out there for us to use. We want to use fiberglass so we don't get corrosion, because this produced water in these tanks can corrode. We don't want leaks or spills. With that, though, with hydrocarbons inside plastic, you can get some static and you can get some fires, which so what we do is we put a really robust system in place for the grounding and also for lightning suppression. So these little fuzzy things on top are protecting the whole site from any kind of a lightning strike. And recently, if you've seen in the papers, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, there was a lightning strike that took a water disposal facility down. It wasn't ours, but I'm not sure if they had or hadn't done the right thing, which is putting lightning suppression in place. The site, when it was a green field, looked like that, and now it looks similar to that. It's even expanding year after year as more oil shows up from this horizontal program. Just kind of an example of what we want to do for an expansion. We want to put in another emulsion offloading rack that's professional, just adding some more tankage and another line heater to help us polish that oil a little bit better. So since the vertical program, and now we're evolving into the horizontal program, we also wanted to get away from having a lot of atmospheric storage tanks of the oil on site. So we're moving into a thing called tankless or a pressurized storage of our oil. So at our tank batteries, we're evolving to, in this oil that we use, or we get in the Weld County, DJ Basin, Wattenberg area is very flashy. It's a condensate light oil. So there's a lot of gas that wants to come out of there. Especially as you drop the pressures, more gas evolves and natural gas liquids come out. We're changing our way that we process, and we have our tank batteries. And we're going to tankless, like I mentioned earlier. And what that tankless system does, it eliminates a lot of vapor recovery units and equipment on site, but it keeps all that oil stored in a pressurized mode. What that does will help reduce our footprint, and it will help reduce our emissions significantly. Our construction costs go down and our operating costs go down as well. We have a thing called the social license to operate, and we really respect what our neighbors think of us, and we really want to improve on any application of the bad acting view of oil and gas does. So this is what we're doing. We're taking some big major leaps and big steps in technological advances with the help of Weld County and everybody else. So as a result of changing our tank batteries around, we have a lot of natural gas and natural gas liquids that will still be entrained in that oil as it gets pumped through our oil gathering system, and we still have to knock that out. So this is what the Central Oil Stabilization Facility is going to do. It's going to help knock out some more of the natural gas as well as the natural gas liquids. So at this central processing facility, those will be our products. We'll have natural gas going into our natural gas gathering system. We'll have natural gas liquids. Will stay liquid, be pressurized. We'll pump that into our natural gas liquids pipeline. And then our oil now will be a little bit higher of a reed vapor pressure, yet we're going to pump it right back into our oil sales system, which 2 pipelines to Cushing, as well as we've got a railroad takeaway system in the future, 2016. We've got another 20-inch pipeline going out of the DJ Basin area to Cushing, Oklahoma, that we're partnered with Magellan and Plains on. Here's a 3D model of this new Central Oil Stabilization Facility, and you can see it's going to look kind of more like a refinery processing plant. Oil comes in, some gas comes out. We got compressors over here. We got stabilizing units and towers on this side of it. We store NGLs. We'll pump it off site. Our stable oil comes back around, and we've got 250,000 barrel storage tanks now that we have in place. One tank will be online, just operating. We're going to keep that tank level steady, and the other one's just in standby in case we have some upsets or any other kind of conditions. We'll then go ahead and pump that oil out, and then we'll go back into, like I talked about earlier, our oil sales system. So that kind of makes our Central Oil Stabilization Facility. And again, this is about 60 to 70% constructed, and we should be turning the system on in July, August timeframe. Talked about some major equipment there, the big tanks. On those big tanks, they are lightning protected, as well as I got a fire suppression system in there. Again, we want to be a good neighbor. If those tanks were to ever catch on fire, we can put it out in about 2 minutes. So we've got a lot of things that we can utilize at our disposal. We have our own water on demand system that is going to be the charge water for that foaming agent that'll put those tanks out. Again, NGL vessels, inlet vessels, flash gas compressors, and 5 trains. And we do have backup electric power out there just to keep that thing. It's going to have to run 24/7. A couple pictures of the construction site. This is the flare there. That's just in case we have to blow the system down for safety. And then this is one of the 5 towers that is part of the stabilization process. Talked about what we're doing in the Wattenberg area with our oil gathering system. So we did turn the system on back in June of 2012, and we had to put in an oil gathering system because of the massive volume that was coming, and we just didn't want to truck it out. Can you imagine moving a lot of oil like that through truck? Our main goal is to reduce the truck traffic, and that's what we've done so far. So since 2012, we've moved, almost 43 million barrels now at this point, and that's equivalent to 230,000 plus truck trips. So this is one of those things that we out of necessity did, as well as we had a benefit from it as well. And again, this is data that came from the beginning of the month. And again, just this first part of the month with our new production coming on, we've eliminated 46,000 truckloads. That oil polishing facility, it's treated up to 155,000 barrels of emulsion slash watery liquid that we wanted to take care of. Last year in March, we thought we were doing great. We moved 2 million barrels through our gathering system. Now we've moved over 3.2. And again, this is with the new technology at our tank batteries where everything's pressurized and sealed, so we're not getting as many emissions, as well as we're reducing the risk to the public with not having oil trucks on the roads. In one of we're currently doing about 103,000 barrels out of that Wattenberg field, which is inside the DJ Basin. Any questions on the oil side of things? I kind of went through those slides fast, kind of on purpose. We're on a time crunch, but I'm going to jump into the saltwater disposal side of things if anybody has any questions. These are just Anadarko numbers.
Joe, curious if you could, in broad brushstrokes, talk about economic benefits or cost to the company. How's it work out at the end of the day for this, what we would certainly see as leading edge kind of practices?
Well, as a result of coming up with the central oil stabilization facility, as well as taking our tank batteries and making them smaller, we're looking at a savings of about $28 million a year in just construction costs of our tank batteries. So that rolls into paying off these bigger facilities, and it's a win-win proposal. It really is. That justifies the economics of this big plant. I'll talk about our saltwater process. It was kind of nice. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was able to drive around the western slope, went to a lot of different operators to see what they do with their water, to see what they do right, kind of get lessons learned. Even went into Wyoming and into Utah as well. And it brought up the idea of, well, we need to for sure protect these things from lightning strikes. So this site that's been operating for 3 or 4 years now, we have lightning suppression on the whole site. So never have we had a strike out there, and we don't expect to have one either because we don't want these to burn down clearly. One technology that I brought into this service is a self-cleaning mechanical filter, because it seemed like everybody didn't know what to do with the solids that comes out of the salt water. You get sand, you get little particles of steel and iron and rust and kind of stuff. And so I brought in a new technology. It was called a TurboCool at the time, and Dow Chemical bought them out. That's called a TechQuatic Plus. It's been working great for us. And I really think that the way these filters work, these particles move around the screen pretty fast. They bump into these little slits that are 35 micron to 50 micron wide. And every time they bump into a slit, that little piece of that oil or that wax breaks off. And that helps now to separate the solid and the oil a little bit better. So we're seeing some great results with using that filter. So as a result of that, we're building another saltwater disposal facility kind of north of Hudson area. And we've got some new improvements as well. And again, we've got, we drilled a well, and it's capable of taking about 17,000 barrels of water a day. And we're only permitted from the state to do 10,000 barrels a day. I think that's that magic number they're comfortable with, so not to cause any seismic events. We did add a water pipeline, so this was great. We were encouraged from Director Lepore to see if we can do anything with reducing the amount of trucks and if we can pipeline our produced water. So this was a great opportunity. So all of our compressor stations that have any kind of water, we gather that, we pipe it together into this facility, and that'll save us like 750 water trucks per month. So again, there's an economic advantage as well as a safety risk reduction to the public of reducing that many trucks off of there. So again, there's an economic incentive for us as well as public risk goes way down. We also added a water recycling offloading rack there. So basically, we can skim the produced water, we get the solids out of it, we get the oil out of it, and we can pump it back into a truck and take that to our next hydraulic fracture. And also, we've added a LAC unit, so we're going to pump the oil off the site into an oil gathering system that's already existing. So we've reduced trucks as well there. So the name of the game here is get the trucks off the road. And we should be starting this thing up in June, July timeframe as well. And if anybody's going to ask, are we going to do lightning suppression on this one? Absolutely. So, just a couple aerials. This is when we first started construction, kind of the size of it. This white-looking mushroom thing is that aquatic filter I was telling you about earlier. This is what we don't want to see, and this is what came out, about 3 weeks ago. These are general public photos, and that's just a bad situation. The public thinks it's a bad thing. We think it's a bad thing, and it really impacts everybody.